Ladies, you ever notice how the moment you stop chasing a man, something starts to shift in the atmosphere? It's like the energy in the relationship changes instantly. That silence you create when you step back, oh, it echoes. And it echoes loud in a man's mind. See, when a woman is constantly calling, checking in, trying to figure out where she stands, showing up to prove she's worth it, she's doing the emotional labor in the relationship. And let me tell you something, when a man gets used to that, he doesn't have to try. He knows you'll be there. He knows you're going to text first. He knows you'll forgive him before he apologizes. He knows you're going to chase him back no matter how far he pulls away. So guess what? He gets lazy, comfortable, unbothered. Now, the moment you pull back, and I mean really pull back, not as a game, not as manipulation, but because you finally understand your worth, something switches in him. That phone that used to stay dry starts lighting up. That man who always said he was too busy to call, he starts finding time. And it's not because he suddenly became a better man overnight. It's because your absence triggered something in him that your presence didn't. It reminded him you're not permanent unless you're prioritized. Men are wired to pursue. That's not just cliche, that's real. When he met you, he pursued you. When he wanted your attention, he found creative ways to stand out. When he feared losing you, he stepped up. But when you start chasing him, you take away that instinct. He's no longer the hunter. He's the prize. And let's be real, most men don't know how to be the prize. So he slacks off, he coasts. He does the bare minimum and expects maximum devotion in return. But the minute you stop checking who's texting, stop showing up when he doesn't ask, stop offering yourself without him earning it, he starts feeling your absence like a weight. Because he got used to you being available, and now that availability is gone. Now you're living, you're glowing, you're unbothered, you're doing the very thing he used to love about you before you made him your world. And that is when he starts chasing, not because he suddenly became a different man, but because he realized you're not someone who can be taken for granted. You're not someone who's going to keep knocking on a closed door. You're a woman who knows how to walk away with her dignity intact. See, the problem is not that men don't know how to love, it's that they don't always know how to value what they didn't have to work for. A man will treat you the way you train him to. If you reward him when he's distant, if you keep giving more when he gives less, you're teaching him that you'll settle for crumbs. But if you stop chasing and start choosing you, now you're resetting the balance. Now the man has to ask himself, what did I do? Why did she change? Who is she becoming without me? And that's when he starts reflecting. And listen, reflection is powerful. Sometimes your silence teaches him more than your words ever could. When you stop arguing, stop begging, stop proving your love and just fall back, that's when a man starts feeling the loss. He doesn't miss the text or the gifts. He misses the comfort, the safety, the devotion he took for granted. And that's when he comes back. Or he doesn't. And either way, you get your clarity. Because the truth is, when you stop chasing, you're not being mean. You're being wise. You're protecting your peace. You're no longer negotiating your value with someone who can't see it. And that's what makes you powerful. That's what brings a man face to face with the reality of who you are. You're not just a good woman. You're a woman who knows her value. And any man who wants to be in your life has to come correct, because the door is no longer revolving. It opens to those who knock with intention. So when you no longer chase him, what really happens is that you return to yourself. You stop revolving around him and start rotating around your own goals, your own peace, your own joy. And when a woman does that, she becomes magnetic. She glows different. She laughs louder. She walks taller. And men notice, not just him, other men too. The very ones who saw your light dim when you were overgiving, they see it reignite and they take notice. But now, you're not waiting to be chosen. You're doing the choosing. Because now you've learned the secret. The one who chases ends up tired. But the one who stands in her worth, she ends up desired. And in that space, the right man will recognize you. Not because you ran after him, but because you walked away from what no longer served you. He won't come back because you begged. He'll come back because your silence showed him everything your words couldn't. And whether he comes back or not, you'll still be whole. You'll still be standing. You'll still be the woman who no longer chases because now you know you've always been the catch. When a woman stops chasing a man, something powerful happens, not just between them, but within her. It's not just about pulling away or going silent. It's about reclaiming her self-respect, her peace, and her time. Most women chase not because they're desperate, but because they care. They want clarity. They want connection. They want to show the man they're willing to invest, willing to be present, willing to prove they're the right one. But sometimes in doing that, they forget that relationships are a two-way street. Love doesn't flow well when it's forced. And no matter how much effort you pour into a man, if he's not ready to receive it, or worse, if he's not reciprocating it, it leaves you running in circles. A man can sense when you're the one doing all the reaching. He can feel the pressure, the expectation, and the anxiety behind your consistent efforts. And instead of appreciating it, he gets used to it. He begins to think it's supposed to be that way. You become the constant, the comfort, the one he doesn't have to worry about losing. But relationships don't thrive when one person is always the anchor. When a woman pulls back, not to manipulate, but to protect her spirit, everything starts to shift. Suddenly, he notices the space where your attention used to be. The late-night check-ins stop. The constant reassurance disappears. And now he's left to wonder, why isn't she calling anymore? That question alone disrupts his comfort zone. See, the truth is, when a woman no longer chases, she gives the man space to choose, not out of guilt or pressure, but because now it's up to him. He has to decide if he values her or not. He has to step into the effort she once carried alone. And here's the thing. When a man truly cares, he will step up. He'll feel the absence and respond. But if he doesn't, then the silence just revealed the truth that was hiding underneath all along. A woman who stops chasing forces reality to show up. She's no longer covering up the cracks with her overgiving heart. She's letting things be what they are. And that's when true clarity arrives. Now, when that woman shifts her energy, something starts to rise in her. Her posture changes. Her priorities realign. She starts focusing on herself, on her growth, on her joy. And that glow, it's not fake. It's not for Instagram. It's the real kind, the kind that comes from peace. A man can feel that shift. She's not cold, she's just not available in the same way. She's no longer centering him. She's not ignoring him, she's just choosing herself. And for a man who's used to being chased, this shift can be jarring. It can wake him up. Suddenly he starts asking if he ever really matched her energy. He starts reflecting on the conversations, the missed opportunities, the ways he failed to show up. Some men will rise to meet you once they realize they could lose you, but some won't. And that's the truth a woman discovers when she stops chasing. Not every man is capable of handling a strong woman's silence. Not every man deserves a second chance just because he notices her absence. Some men only come back to see if they still have access. And that's where the woman's power lies. She gets to choose if his return is genuine or just curiosity. She's no longer the one waiting for a text. She's the one deciding whether or not to respond. Let's be real. Some men don't appreciate a woman's worth until she's no longer making herself small for them, until she stops explaining herself, until she stops bending over backward. That's when they remember all the things they once loved about her, that smile, that compassion, that loyalty. They remember it all. But now she's changed. Now she knows better. Now she loves herself enough to let go of anything that doesn't love her the same. The biggest transformation doesn't happen in him, it happens in her. She starts showing up differently, not just in love, but in life. She sets boundaries with grace. She says no without guilt. She laughs deeper because she's no longer emotionally exhausted. And the beautiful part, she doesn't need closure. She doesn't need him to understand her silence. Her peace is her closure. Her evolution is her answer. And her growth speaks louder than any argument ever could. Men respect women who respect themselves. And when a woman stops chasing, she sends a message without ever raising her voice. She says, I'm not here to beg. I'm here to be chosen. I'm not waiting. I'm living. And that message either invites a man to step up or step out. But either way, she wins because she's no longer chasing love. She's attracting it. She's no longer afraid of losing him. She's more afraid of losing herself. When a woman gets tired, something in her snaps, not in anger, but in awareness. She realizes that no matter how much she loves someone, she can't carry the relationship alone. And when she gets that clarity, she walks away not with bitterness, but with wisdom. She doesn't chase because she's done explaining what she deserves. She's done auditioning for a role she already earned. She's done watering a relationship that left her thirsty. The woman who no longer chases becomes unforgettable, not because she played hard to get, but because she finally got hard to forget. And a man who's grown will recognize that he'll return, not because she begged, but because he realized she was the real thing. And if he doesn't, then her silence just saved her time. Either way, she's already moved on, not just from him, but from the version of herself that thought she had to chase someone to be loved. When you stop chasing a man, something in the dynamic changes instantly. You go from being someone who's constantly available to someone who values her peace more than a one-sided relationship. And that shift, it speaks volumes, not just to him, but to yourself. Because it's not just about him anymore. It's about you finally realizing that love shouldn't feel like a pursuit. It should feel like mutual effort, mutual respect, and mutual energy. The moment you decide to stop chasing is the moment you reclaim your power. You're not pulling away to be manipulative. You're stepping back because you're tired of running after someone who's not meeting you halfway. A man can feel when the chase stops. That energy you used to pour into checking on him, texting him first, try to keep the connection alive, suddenly it's gone. And whether he admits it or not, he notices. That silence you give him, it makes noise in his world because now he doesn't have the same access. Now he doesn't feel as important. And that's when he starts asking himself questions he never asked before. Why did she stop calling? Is she over me? Did I lose her for good? And in that moment, he has to sit with the reality that he didn't give enough to keep you around. You see, men respond to space differently than women. While women often need reassurance, men tend to need the loss to realize the value. When you were chasing, He didn't have to do much. He knew you'd be there. He knew you'd forgive. He knew you'd reach out first. But now he has to confront the idea that you've moved on. And it's not just a fear. It becomes a possibility. That's what shifts his behavior. That's what pushes him to either rise up or fall off. And that's the beauty of letting go of the chase. You get clarity. Because a man who really wants you will never be okay with losing you. And a man who doesn't, you are never going to keep him no matter how hard you chased. There's something undeniably powerful about a woman who stops running after someone. It's like her spirit straightens up. Her energy gets lighter. She begins to focus on herself again. She starts glowing in a way that only peace can bring. And guess what? That glow attracts. It attracts his attention. It attracts other men. It attracts opportunities. Because now you're moving from a place of confidence, not desperation. And when a woman moves with that kind of energy, everything around her shifts. She stops waiting for a man to realize her worth and starts embodying it herself. This is where the transformation happens. You stop checking your phone every minute. You stop wondering what he's thinking. You stop overanalyzing his silence. Because now your silence is louder, it's stronger, it's a boundary. And he feels it. He feels the absence of your effort. He notices the lack of attention. And whether he says something or not, it sits with him. It nags at his pride. It whispers in his mind, you had something real and you didn't treat it right. And if he has any sense of maturity, that thought will humble him. But even if it doesn't, you win. Because walking away from something that made you question your worth is always a win. You don't need a man to come running after you to validate your decision. You just need to feel your peace return. You need to feel yourself again. The you before all the second guessing, before all the hoping he'd change, before all the emotional chasing. That version of you, she deserves to be honored. And by not chasing, you're honoring her. Men will test your limits when they know you love them. They'll pull away to see if you'll follow. They'll go silent to see if you'll break the quiet first. But when you don't, when you stay calm, grounded, and focused on your own life, it shakes them. Because now they don't know where they stand. And more than anything, men hate not knowing. They hate the uncertainty. And that's what makes them act. That's what makes them call, text, show up. Because you stop. It's not a trick. It's not a strategy. It's self-respect. And there's nothing more attractive than that. When you stop chasing, you invite real love into your life. The kind that doesn't need convincing. The kind that doesn't require you to fight for attention. Because real love doesn't have to be earned through exhaustion. It flows when two people meet each other with full hearts and open hands. And the moment you stop chasing is the moment you make space for that kind of love to find you. When you stop chasing a man, you stop placing your value in his hands. That moment you pull back is the moment you step back into your own strength. You begin to realize that love shouldn't be a constant performance where you're always trying to impress, prove, or please. It should be natural. It should feel secure. If you're always the one showing up, reaching out, checking in, then you've already tipped the balance. And deep down you know it, but you keep doing it because you care. You want to hold on. You want him to see how good your love is. But the truth is, the more you chase, the less he sees, because he's not required to look. Men don't value what they don't work for. It's just human nature. When something comes too easy, it's taken for granted. And when a woman constantly shows up for a man who's not doing the same, he stops putting in effort. Not because he's heartless, but because he's comfortable. He knows she'll call. He knows she'll try. He knows she'll come back. So he doesn't change. He doesn't reflect. He doesn't even notice how much she's slowly shrinking just to keep his attention. But the moment she stops, that's when the silence hits him. Not just silence in the form of words, but an energy. in presence, in thought. That daily dose of validation he used to get from her gone. That comfort of knowing someone always had his back, missing. And in that quiet, he begins to notice what he lost. A woman's absence teaches a man what her presence once masked. All the little things she did, the way she cared, the way she worried about him, the way she looked at him like he was everything, it all hits him when she no longer does it. She's not angry, she's just done. There's a difference. Done doesn't yell, done doesn't argue, done doesn't beg, done walks away with grace. And that's what hits the hardest. Not the rage, but the calm, because when a woman stops chasing, she stops emotionally investing. She stops centering him in her life. Her attention returns to herself, and something magical happens in that process. She blooms. She begins to rediscover who she was before she started over-giving. She remembers her worth, her value, her voice. And that glow is real. It's not about revenge. It's about recovery. She's healing, and in that healing, she becomes even more beautiful, not just on the outside, but in spirit. That's the version of her he starts to miss, the one he had didn't appreciate, the one he now watches from a distance, hoping she'll look back. But this time, she doesn't. Not because she's being cold, but because she's learned. She's learned that love doesn't mean chasing. It means choosing and being chosen in return. The man who let her chase him, who gave little and took a lot, now finds himself empty. Not because she left, but because he never truly showed up. Now he's left with questions. Why did she stop? Who is she now? Is it too late? And that's when he might come running. But here's the truth. The chase never guaranteed his love. Only his effort did. And if it took losing her to make him realize her worth, then she has every right to question if he's really changed or just scared to be alone. Some men only chase once the attention is gone, but a woman who's grown tired doesn't fall for temporary effort. She needs consistency. She needs intention. She needs to see that he's no longer expecting her to do all the work. And if he can't do that, she won't go back. Because now she knows the cost of losing herself for someone who never saw her clearly. This isn't about punishing him. It's about protecting herself. When she stops chasing, she's not being heartless. She's being wise. She's learned that her energy is sacred. Her love is rare, her time is precious, and she will no longer spend it proving herself to someone who doesn't recognize what he had. When a woman stops chasing a man, she starts chasing her peace, and in that space, the right man will find her. Not because she ran after him, but because she stood still in her truth. She made herself unavailable to anyone who wasn't willing to rise to the level of the love she gives. And that, more than anything, is what makes her unforgettable.